better suited for you, Eric.
Uh-oh.
Do Vikings have tartans?
No. Basically, at least not as far as we know from the archaeological record. We do know that certain colors were preferred in different regions. For instance, apparently red, for some reason, was very popular in the Danelaw, which was the area of Britain, Scotland, and the Low Countries and side of Britain that was controlled by the Danes for a few years. And you find blues in parts of Norway, but there's really not a tradition of Norse tartan per se.
Yet.
Yeah, well, I mean, yeah, I'm speaking old, historically, not contemporarily. Contemporarily, of course, it's all over the place. And
Yeah,
they're
there's
playing.
Norwegian tartan. There's
There's
a few.
there's a national,
Yeah.
and of course there's plenty of guys with Norse extraction, who like tartan. And I'm certain there was blending of fabrics and styles when Norsemen encountered any of these areas. Like in Northern Ireland, I'm sure there was a lot of blending of clothing. One of the possible etymological sources of the word kilt is from the Old Norse kjalti, which means to wrap around. If you know better than I do, send me some resources, but that's one of the possible sources of the word that we know. So there's a connection there, but did they have tartan? Did the Vikings come off of their boats wearing plaid? Probably not, at least not as far as we can tell from the archaeology.
They wouldn't come off, but they could have, where the Vikings are stronger, let's say the Orkneys, or somewhere in the north of Scotland, there would be some adaptation over time of what the locals are doing.
Mm-hmm. But then you also get into a question of how far back in time does what we consider tartan go?
Fair.
If you go back to you have the Czechs and the Tweeds, things like the Falkirk tartan, which were more common. I'm sure somebody was wearing some kind of patterned cloth, but we don't have the archaeology to prove it.
Or associated with a particular clan versus just a fun pattern.
Well, and the clan thing has nothing to do with anything at that point.
Yeah,
that's
exactly.
much later.
Yep.
But hopefully that helps.
Cool.